This one?
I ain't afraid of your jail.
So it's all part of the civil rights.
Yes, this is the Ingram Park.
Right.
And this is where major civil rights protests happened with all sorts of police attacks, etc. So they turned
That was
this area.
when, in the 60s?
In the 60s, yeah.
Thank you.
In the 60s.
Very, very nice park.
That's the 60s. That's the 60s Baptist.
So the children say, I'm not afraid of your jail, because, Nikos,
Yes, sir.
the children took part in these
Yes.
episodes of arrest for civil rights.
Yes.
Church.
Where there were bombings and 4 little girls died.
And who put the bombs?
They finally caught the guy and put him in jail, some white supremacists.
They didn't want rights for the black people. This track, Church of God.
Do you see this denomination in Europe?
Not in this.
But
No. Is that the track you were on about yesterday?
It's like a sect, you know. It's a. It's a
we have.
You know, like Baptist, Methodist, whatever.
We tend to stick with the main ones. I mean, up in Scotland, there's been more fragmentation, but.
Some other children were seen just rolling through the street because of the pressure of water. They were taken to jail until there was no room in the jail for them to sleep. So they were kept in the jail's court and in yards until it became practically impossible to have so many children in jail. These were the hoses firing high pressure, high intensity water on the children. They were standing firm. Are going through the dogs. Yeah, this was a moving visit to the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, especially thinking that most of the events narrated, they were from 50, even 40 years ago, so it was not long time ago that things that today we cannot even imagine happened, and with very important consequences for the people involved. What are the lessons learned from this visit? Well, probably the basic lesson is that non-violence, when it's used not by an individual but by a group of people, non-violence is force, and as Gandhi said, is truth force, satyagraha, when it's used to achieve justice and to seek truth by a group of people. And this is still a simple lesson, but goes against the view that force is associated only with violence, with military interventions, with armaments, and so on. The second lesson that I was very vivid by looking at the artifacts and watching the videos at the Institute is that the key player in non-violent struggle is the community. Most of the episodes narrated at the Institute have as main characters women, children, very brave heroes that in different circumstances exercise the power and force of new non-violence. We also had men, of course, but this is very different from seeing scenes of violent struggle and violent conflict in the community, where typically we find young male subjects as the subject of the struggle. Here we start and finish with the women and religious leaders and children as main characters against the police and against those who are trying to enforce an unjust type of legislation. And in relation to that, another lesson is that to achieve change, you have to be prepared for long struggles. There is no fight that can be concluded with success over a short period of time. So it's very important to have the vision right first, and then be prepared to fight with ups and downs, perhaps, but to fight for a long period of time in which your non-violent struggle is going to be punctuated by different episodes, mass strikes, sit-ins, peaceful demonstrations, civil disobedience, as well as court judgments, and try to seek justice through the courts and the current legal and constitutional procedures. One implication of that is that in this struggle, you also have to be prepared to disobey laws that offend basic human rights and betray the Constitution. So they offend the Constitution by establishing principles that are against human rights. And finally, I think one lesson is that we study so much about armed conflict and security, but not enough about non-violence. And this is a subject that has to be studied, and communities have to be trained if we want to succeed in achieving change, noting that change is not a short-term result you can try to achieve, but rather a long struggle. We need then a community well prepared, trained and informed. So perhaps one important implication is that the role of establishing non-violence by training, by education, and by teaching the power of seeking the truth with non-violent action in schools and not just in museums.